Intro contains Rauderberg's avatar and text saying, Accessible Gaming and Blind Gaming Club, with a URL to a website, blindgamingclub.com.
Hi everybody, Rauderberg69 here again with you today, doing another Eurofly 3 video. Been quite some time since I've done my last one. Eurofly 3 is a flight simulator for blind and low vision people, and it's currently in beta. Been in beta for a long time, and they haven't done much recently. The only thing I've noticed is new battery sounds and new airports. I'm sure they might be doing something else in the background that we haven't seen. I'm just wishing they'd release some of the other modes so we can test those, just so there's something else to do. After I finished all the training tutorials and everything, I trained up for my Concorde, but I haven't really played since. I will be doing a video for the Concorde eventually, but I just haven't got around to that yet. So, but I just thought I'd do a new video today because I had a brainwave to do some stuff for Eurofly. Because you would have seen in my, if you've ever watched my tutorial videos, that I use a program called Voice Attack to do voice commands, which do key controls and everything. So I don't have to do them. Well, I thought I would actually implement some stuff into that where I could have a co-pilot talk to me. So I went and made some AI voices and brought them into the Voice Attack and made up some new profiles for my checklists. So that way I've been playing around with that just for more immersion into the game, I guess. I just, unfortunately, as I said in the past, Voice Attack is not really very accessible. It does have shortcut keys and things to do things, but you can't do everything in it because of limitations. I have thought about contacting the developer and giving them some suggestions, which I may do in the future, but I just haven't got around to it. So, but I will move on from that. So I'm part of the Blind Gaming Club. We're a community of blind and low vision people that play all sorts of accessible games. So we play Minecraft, we play Forza Motorsport, Eurofly 3, and then quite a few other games. Anything that's accessible, we'll give it a go. So if you're interested in finding more about the Blind Gaming Club, just check out the link in the description. And we also have a Discord server where you can chat to other members and everything. So give that a look. But yeah, so what I'm showing today is I've done the videos in the past, but I've never actually shown my complete checklist process that I do when I'm playing the game to be immersed in the game. So what I've done is I've updated that, and I will now show starting from the start and going through and getting my co-pilot to do things and to tell me what I've got to do next. So we'll do that today. So if you want to help me out and like this video, so it gets a bit better on YouTube, and also if you want to subscribe, feel free to do so. I do as many accessible videos as I can, and I try and help people out. So I was going to start from the hangar today, but unfortunately I had an issue where my OBS recording software was not capturing the desktop sound. So I have to re-record. So I will be starting from in the field today. So that's fine, but we'll just get on with it, and I will start with the first command, which will be to get the co-pilot started. So let's give it a go. Checklist 1.
Hello, Captain. Glad to be flying with you today. Please check the hangar doors, if we are in the hangar. Make sure they are open, and then you can start up the plane's primary systems using startup as the command and wait until it completes.
Now, just remember, this isn't part of the game. I've created this as part of Voice Attack. So, okay, so I know we're not in the hangar, so I know I can get away with not opening the doors and stuff, so we'll just do the startup. Startup. That's a new battery sound. I've got them turned right down because some of them are really loud.
Computer on. Strobe lights
Taxi
on.
lights
Cabin
on.
landing lights
Safety
on.
transponder on.
Primary startup is complete, Captain. Please press 9 key and get radio frequency for tower or ground control, whichever is necessary, and switch to that frequency, and then move on to checklist 2, using that as the command.
Okay, so he's told us the information. He's a good little co-pilot. So let's press 9 to get the radio frequency.
9. Combo box. Harlic approach control 122.2.
Okay,
Escape.
so
Edit.
set radio frequency.
Alt 1. Set frequency edit. 122. 122. Harlic approach control. Edit.
I'll just let the tower contact us first.
SK432. We welcome you to our airport.
There we go. Right, so that's that done, and I believe he said to do the checklist 2 next, so let's move on to that. Checklist 2.
Excellent. We can now set our flight plan. Please open the map systems using Control plus F8 key, and choose our destination airport and press spacebar to add it as our destination. Once you have completed that, contact the tower and create the flight plan, and then we will move on to checklist 3 by using that as the command.
Okay, so that sounds pretty simple. So we'll get our destination first.
Combo box. Slovakia Harlic dash L. Czech Republic Reklap. Czech Republic Kaja. Slovakia Seneca dash L's ESE left paren 22 kilometers.
Okay, we're
140
not
right, 1
flying
minutes
far
right,
today, so the 22 kilometers is enough. So we'll hit spacebar on
Destination
that.
set. Edit.
Then we'll contact the tower. I'm not going to go through everything today, like what I'm doing. So I'm just going to run it like I'd normally run it. So we'll contact the tower with
Combo
F1.
box. Plan dash I want to create a flight plan. Enter. Call sign read only edit. SK. Select destination combo box. Filter edit.
We've already done that.
Flight description edit.
We don't want to
Requesting
do a
combo box.
description.
Direct flight. Request
We'll do a
flight button.
direct flight.
Enter. Edit.
Set transponder.
Set transponder.
I know
code.
it's going to
Set
give me a transponder
edit.
code, so I've just opened that up, ready to add it in.
SK432. Flight plan accepted. Set transponder to 5938.
5 9 3 8
There
5938. Enter. Edit.
And that's all that done. So now we'll do checklist 3. Checklist 3.
Very good, Captain. We are currently on schedule. Now in the plane properties, you need to go to the flight plan tab and see how much fuel is required for the flight. Then refuel the plane with the necessary amount of fuel. Once fueled, we will move on to checklist 4, using that as the command.
Okay, so let's open the plane properties. Control
Control
enter.
enter. Combo box. Pilot
Tab
Rudder
over
system.
to
Combo
the
box.
flight plan and find out how
Starting
much fuel we
destination
need.
backup
It
flight
won't be
not-
much.
Direct flight. Planned flyover at Slovak. Length of plan 22 kilometers, 6 minutes. Length of flight to the back 45 kilometers, 13 minutes. Required fuel: 58 liters.
So we only need 58 litres. We've already got 100 litres on board from starting,
Escape.
which I'll
Edit.
show that now.
E, 100 liters.
But I'm going to add 200 litres just to be sure that we've got enough fuel. Refuel now, please.
Control E. Set fuel amount. Edit. 200. 200. Enter.
There we
Edit.
go. Top up.
E. 300 liters.
We've got 300 litres now, so now we'll move on to the next checklist. Checklist 4.
Okay, we are now ready to start the engine, Captain. Please run the final startup command.
Okay, everything's right.
200 main area. 100 main area.
Yep, we're outside, so final startup.
Cage up. Blank. North.
I've got everything turned down. The engines and everything are turned
Temperature
down.
control radar on. Stall indication on. TCAS on. Sensor on.
Final startup is complete, Captain. Move on to the taxi checklist, using that as the command. Now please set the cabin temperature.
Set temperature. Set temperature combo 19, 20, 21, 22, 21. Enter.
Temperature
Edit.
set.
Okay.
140 right at 140.
Okay, so now we're going to do taxi checklist.
Starting taxi checklist. Captain, let me tell you our location in the airport.
100 main area.
If we are located in the hangar, please move outside and stop. Make sure to release the park brake. Also be sure the hangar door is open. When outside, contact the tower for takeoff clearance. Once we have clearance, run the runway checklist.
Okay, so I know we're outside, so contact the
Combo
tower.
box. Plan dash repair dash I need takeoff dash asking for enter. Edit.
SK432, cleared for takeoff.
Okay. And he said runway next, so runway checklist. Runway checklist.
Starting runway checklist. Please check the optimal flap setting for takeoff. Also checking stall speed and calculate necessary takeoff speed and set flaps accordingly. Once everything is ready, take off at your discretion. After takeoff, use command, flight mode to configure the plane for the flight.
Okay, so let's go back into the plane
Control
properties
combo box.
and
S
check
set
out
vector,
our
and
flaps and
number,
everything.
wings, length, bass, weight, current, weight, total, cruising speed,
I'm pretty sure I know what they are, but I'll do this for the video.
Positions, 0/3. Bass
We've got
takeoff,
3.
landing, stall speed, 120 kmph.
Stall speed's
Current
120.
takeoff speed, 110 kmph. Nose
110.
angle when take minimum flap position when nose angle when taking off, 4-7-10. Minimum flap position when taking off, 1.
Minimum flat when taking off is
Combo
1.
box,
So
combo
we'll
box,
check out
logbook.
what the
Combo box.
speed
Technical
is
data.
for that.
Stall speeds, flaps 0:120 k, flaps 1:110 kmph.
So that makes it 110, so our takeoff will be 110. So
Escape, edit.
set the flaps,
Set flap position 1. Enter, edit.
park brake off.
Parking brakes off. Flaps set.
Okay, we're pretty much ready to take off. This is a really short flight, so basically as soon as I take off, I'll be switching over the radio to the new tower and getting ready to land again. So, but I'm not going to go through my whole procedure for
300
taking
meters.
off.
0
I'm
flaps at
just
1.
going to do it and we'll get in the air. So, full throttle.
Throttle preset 4. 0.4 flaps at 1.
So I've got to get up to 110 before I try taking off.
R. 40 flaps at 1. 52 flaps at 1. 61 flaps at 1. 69 flaps at 1. 79 flaps at 1. R. 86 flaps at 1. 95 flaps at 1. 102 flaps at 1. 109 flaps. 104.
Alright, up we go.
Safety zone.
Flight mode.
Landing lights off.
Takeoff
Taxi lights
successful.
off. Out of
Flight mode
airport.
is set.
Set flap position.
Rightio.
Set flap position, edit.
Set the flaps back to 0.
0. Enter, edit.
And
23 140 right at 140.
got to turn
11,
to the right.
Flaps set.
31 40 51 62 71 80 91 100 112 120 130 141 1 right at 142 1 left at 142 dead ahead at 142 22 kilometers 36
SK432,
minutes
climb to 85.
198
Nearest object.
559 kilometers 527 537
I think I'm going to stay at this height.
21 kilometers 76
because
minutes
It's only 6 minutes, so let's get the other airport up and get
Alt
the
enter,
radio
combo
frequency.
box, Pilot Roderberg 69
So
left,
Alt
19
enter
right,
for
correct.
destination airport.
SKOT Cessna LCSE public without domain height above CNAP difficulty pole approach control airport description approach control 125.3 escape
Okay,
escape
set radio frequency. Set radio frequency.
set frequency 1 2 5 123 and Seneca approach control edit
Okay, we're connected to it. That should talk to me in a second.
20 kilometers, Seneca, 5
SK432,
minutes.
welcome to the airspace of our airport.
Okay,
205.
so we're set for that.
142 1 left at 141 1 left at 141
Line up
dead
with
ahead
that.
at 140 19
Right.
kilometers Seneca 205
We don't really need to prepare just
19
yet.
kilometers Seneca 5 minutes
I'll wait till we get to 15 kilometers before I do any more. So, but we're
205 141
all set up. Everything's
300 551
nearest object.
556 kilometers vertical bar Saskaramana 586 meters vertical bar 2 hours 42 minutes
I won't be over the current airport. Let's have a check where we are.
controlled area Hollick 4.9 kilometers
See, we're still over Hollick, so safe altitudes and stuff aren't worth doing.
17 kilometers Seneca 4 minutes
I'll do my landing stuff in a
16
moment.
kilometers Seneca 1 right at 142 1 right at 142
Going to be one of those
dead ahead
ones
at
that keep
142.
making us adjust our course a little bit, 1 degree
16
at a time.
kilometers Seneca 4 minutes
All right, so let's just start getting set up for landing then. Landing checklist.
Starting landing checklist. Firstly, make sure you are on the destination airport radio
Yep,
frequency.
we are.
Now, check optimal flaps for landing and landing
Do
speed.
that in a second.
Once in range of airport tower, contact the tower for landing clearance. Start preparing for landing and be sure to run command landing mode to set the plane's systems for landing. Make sure to check minimum altitudes and final safe circle.
14
Okey-dokey.
kilometers, Seneca 4 minute, dead ahead at 142.
Okay, so let's quickly check that
Control
into
enter.
the plane
Combo S,
properties.
Cessna, black,
What's
number
our
green light, back,
landing
current closing,
flaps?
maximum cruise, maximum flat, bass landing speed, stall speed, colon 120k, current take, nose angle, minimum flap, minimum take, current landing, minimum flap position when landing, colon 2. Minimum landing runway length, colon 365
Okay,
meters.
so, and
Combo box, logbook.
for 2
Combo
is
Stall flaps 1 colon 1 flaps 2 colon 100k mph.
100. So
Escape,
we've got to
escape.
land above that speed. And before I forget,
Control
Stall
shift E.
indication off.
turn that off so it doesn't scare the bejesus out of me.
12 kilometers,
Okay,
Seneca 3
so
minutes, dead ahead at 142.
yeah, so I've got to set the flaps to 2 and we'll be landing above 100 because if you actually get on 100, you'll fall out of the sky. You've got to be at 101 above. I want to get as close to that as possible so when I stall the plane to land,
11
it
kilometers,
lands.
Seneca 3 1 left at 141.
Okay,
Dead ahead at 140. 11 kilometers, Seneca 3 minutes.
I'll wait a little bit longer. I don't want to be coming in too slow.
141. 243 above ground.
Let's see if we're in the airport range yet.
Controlled area, Seneca 10 kilometers.
Yep. Safe altitude.
15 kilometers, safe altitude 539 meters, which is 347 meters above ground. Dash Seneca 143 above ground.
We're below it, but there's nothing in front of us. Nearest object.
548 kilometers vertical bar dash
that's
dash dash
fine.
Cessna 9.5 km 1 right at 142.
Okay, keeps
Dead
putting
ahead
me.
at 142.
Right.
9.2 kilometers, Seneca 2
So
minutes.
we're going to start slowing down and getting ready. So once I get down, I will set the flaps.
8.7
So I've
kilometers,
just
Seneca
shut
2
the
minutes.
engines to idle
8.5 kilometers, 200.
as I start
8.4
slowing down.
kilometers, dead ahead at 142. 192. 189.
Set the flaps.
Set flap position 2. Enter. Edit. 177.
Because these slow down really
173.
quickly.
170.
Flaps set.
167 flaps at 2.
And once I get to the speed I want, I'll choke the engines at that speed
156 flaps at 2. 7.5 kilometer dead ahead at 142.
and then I'll get landing
147
clearance.
flaps at 2. 144 flaps at 2. 141 flaps at 2. 139 flaps at 2. 137
Yeah,
flaps
we're going to
at 2.
stay focused on this speed
133 flaps at
because
2.
we don't want to stall.
129 flaps at 2. 127 flaps at 126 flaps at 2. 122 flaps at 2. 6.71 left at 141. Dead ahead at 116 flaps at 2. Dead ahead at 114 flaps, 112 flaps, 111 flap, 110 flap, 109 flap, 108 flap, 108 flap, 107, 106 flap, 106, 105, 100, 101 choked off, 103 flaps, 103
There we
flaps
go,
at 2.
103. That's good. Okay, let's contact the tower and get
Combo
landing
box.
clearance.
Brake dash aborting, land dash asking for landing, enter, edit. 6.0 kilometer, 348 above ground.
SK432. Landing clearance granted.
We'll
Alt
quickly
enter.
check
Combo
our
box.
altitudes.
Height above sea dash, same altitude, safe circle 0.3 kilometers.
0.3,
2 kilometers, safe
so
altitude 225 meters, escape.
okay, so 0.3 is the distance from the airport.
Seneca 3 minutes.
Safe altitude.
10 kilometers, safe altitude 386 meters, which is 194 meters above ground,
Right.
340 above
So
ground.
we can go down a bit.
328 to 318, 5.3 kilometers, Seneca 3, 1 right at 142. 1 right at 142, 1 right at 142, 1 right at 142, 1 right at 142, 240 above 1 right at 142, dead ahead at 142, 240 above ground, 236 above
Still
ground.
go down. Safe altitude. Safe altitude.
5 kilometers, safe altitude 279 meters, which is 87 meters above 218 above ground.
Nearest object.
535, 218
Alright,
above.
so we'll keep
4.5
going down.
kilometers, Senate dead ahead at 142. 187
So we're
above
all
ground.
set.
163
There's
above
no
ground.
more commands to do.
163 above ground.
We've just got to land
104.2
now.
kilometers, Senate dead ahead at 142. 163 above
We've
ground.
got clearance from the tower, so
163 above ground. 161 above
in
ground.
the larger
151
planes
above
there's
ground.
more to do once you land, but in these little
151
planes
above
you
ground.
just land.
151 above 3.8 kilometers, dead ahead at 142. 3.7 kilometers, Seneca 2 minutes. 167
Safe
above
altitude.
ground. 5 kilometers, safe altitude 279 meters, which is 87 meters above ground. Dash
Alright,
Seneca
so we
Junction
can go-
167 above
go
ground.
down a bit more.
160 above, 152, 144, 138, 130 above, 126 above, 3.3 kilometers.
So
Seneca
they
1
come
minutes.
up really quickly in these little
126
planes.
above ground. 3.2 kilometers.
Nearest
Seneca 1
object.
minutes. 14 kilometers vertical bar, Rosberg 374 meters vertical bar,
Oh,
dead
so
ahead
there's
at
a mountain
142.
just on the other side of the airport,
3.0
which is
kilometers,
fine.
Seneca 1, 2.9 kilometers, dead ahead at 140, 142, 103 flaps at 2,
We're all set.
306, 122 above ground, 2.7 kilometers, Seneca 1 minutes, 142, 103 flaps at 2.
Nice quick flight
2.6
anyway.
kilometers, Seneca 1 minutes,
And the safe altitude won't change until we get under 2 kilometres now, so
2.4 kilometers, Seneca 122 above ground, 2.3 kilometers, Seneca 1 minutes, 142, 1 left at 141. Dead ahead at 141.
Just got to keep checking the direction.
2.1 kilometers, Seneca 1 minute. Dead ahead at 141.
And because it's on the control, I'm using the sticks. On the Xbox controller, I use the left stick for up and down, and I use the right stick for left and right.
One right at 142. 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 One right at 142.
Come on.
Dead ahead at 101.5 kilometers, Seneca 0
Safe
minutes.
altitude.
2 kilometers, safe altitude 225 meters, which is 33 meters above ground. 118
so
above
we can
ground.
go down a bit more.
109 above ground. 99 above ground. 91 above ground. 82 above ground. 80
That'll
above
do.
ground. 1.2 kilometers,
We'll
Seneca
do
0
a
minutes.
dive in when we get
1.1
lower.
kilometers, Seneca 0 minutes.
Once we get to about 500 meters, the safe altitude is 300 meters.
0.9 kilometers, Seneca 0 minutes. 1 left at 141. Dead ahead at 0.7 kilometers, Seneca 0 minutes
Okay.
above ground.
We're going to go
77
down.
above ground. 68 above 0.6 kilometers, Seneca 55 above ground.
Nearest object.
9.5, 0.5 kilometers, Seneca 0 minute, 55 above ground.
Alright.
46 above 0.4 kilometers, 0.3 kilometers, Seneca 0.3 kilometers, Seneca 0 minute, 37 above ground. 26 above, 26
Airport.
22 above ground, 21 above ground, 20 above ground, 20 above, 18 above ground, 18 above ground.
Alright, now we just got to wait for the runway. Or the landing field.
Main area.
Throttle preset
There we
0.
go. Set the throttle to 0.
Landing successful.
And now we got to hit the brakes. Sorry about the brakes.
Dash 50 dash. Dash 41, 40 flaps at dash. 32 flap 29 dash. Dash 16, 15 dash. 11, 10 flaps at 9 flaps at 7 flaps
There
at 2,
we go.
5 flaps at 2.
Okay, so
Flight completed.
when I get that set up in the larger planes, the co-pilot will then, once you're landed, you will need more commands, especially if you've got
evaluation dialog.
passengers,
Edit. Contains text.
stuff like that. Flight
Blank.
evaluation's not
Successful
really
flight.
worth it.
Blank. Flight length, duration,
Because it's
9
a
minute, ports, 0.
practice
Earnings,
flight.
0. Minor crashes, penalty points, 0. Blank. Enter.
There we
Dash
go.
blank.
That's gone. But yeah, so that's what I'm working on. The immersion. So this is what you can do with the game, and you can, with the commands, you can actually have multiple commands. So you could actually make it so you could have conversations with these co-pilots. You could ask them how their day's been, and then have it set up to do a random response. Things like that. You can actually do with the larger planes, once the passengers and everything are off, I'll be going to the parking area and then getting the co-pilot to shut the plane down. So things like that. This is just a quick one just to show with the smaller planes. I recently found out that in these smaller planes you can't even get passengers in them. Even if you go to the airports and select passengers, they never give you a gate to get passengers. So the Category 1 planes are really pointless once you've trained for them. If you just want to fly between small airports, fine, but other than that, they're not really worth it. So Category 2 and up I've found, so that's what I'll mainly be focusing on with the co-pilot stuff. But I'm getting there with it. So I hope you like this video and see how immersive the game could actually be with other stuff like this implemented. Please, like I said, like the video and subscribe if you'd like to subscribe. Check out the link to the Blind Gaming Club in the description, and I will catch you in the next one.